One of the main issues we hear about from local governments is the gaps in the provincial response to the housing crisis. The legislation allowing multiple units on a single family lot is driving increased demand for local services like water, like sewer, roads, and stormwater. Before the legislation was introduced, local governments supported new development through capital planning to ensure that growth was happening in the neighborhoods with the capacity to support it. But the new provincial rules weaken this link between infrastructure and land use planning. The upgrading of aging infrastructure is happening now in a way that is less structured and much more expensive. In addition to the impacts of Bill 44 and the issue with provincial permitting, local governments also have much to say about social housing. UBCM volunteered to design a survey and report back with the findings. What we found is that in 14 urban municipalities, there are 21,000 households on BC housing waitlist. 6 communities reported that projects were on hold due to lack of provincial funding or other provincial delays, and as a result, there are 3,278 homes without a timeline for completion. Based on the study that we did, provincial expenditures would need to triple in order to meet the needs in the 14 communities that we looked at. We expect the reality is the same across British Columbia. I want to shift now from housing to talk about the Heritage Conservation Act and the approach that the province has taken to local government consultation. For the past 2 years, the province has carefully co-developed the legislation with the Indigenous leaders, as they should. And it is appropriate and important that the province does the work necessary to ensure Indigenous perspectives are reflected in any legislative changes. Unfortunately, though, when it came to consulting local governments on the proposed legislative changes, the same care and attention went out the window. Local governments found out that after working on the legislation for 2 years, we would be given a 3-hour webinar to team, with the team and to learn what the province was working on. The actions of the government make it appear that they do not want local government's input into the changes they're trying to make, which to me is quite unfortunate. Provincial leaders may say otherwise, but the actions by the province on this file speaks volume. I think the province needs to take stock of where it's at right now. They need to slow down. They need to meaningfully engage with local governments and to better understand the potential impacts for BC's communities. Finally, I want to conclude by sharing some reflections on the current state of local government autonomy and the relationship with the current provincial government. When I look at what the province has done over the last several years to weaken local government powers, I am struck by how unjustified and unproductive this approach has been. British Columbians want their governments to act, but they expect us to work together. We are willing partners. It is time for the province to get back to proper collaborative relationship with local government. And with the issues before us, there is far too much at stake to silence local government voices.